Hello, I'm Evelyn Carter, and today I'm going to share something very personal with you. I've lived through many highs and many lows, but nothing prepared me for the day I lost everything. It wasn't a single event, but a series of losses: the death of my husband, the loss of family members, and the closing of doors I had worked my whole life to open. When you lose everything, you think you won't ever be whole again. I thought I'd never find peace again, but here I am, 94 years old, and I've learned something powerful through all of it. Peace isn't found in what you keep, but in what you let go of. The first thing I had to learn after losing everything was that I couldn't control it all. For most of my life, I tried to. I was always the planner, the one who made sure everything was just right. I thought that if I worked hard enough, if I was smart enough, I could make life go according to my plan. But when everything I had built started to crumble, I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. I never truly had control in the first place. I remember feeling so desperate when things started falling apart, like I was losing my grip on everything. I wanted to control the situation, make it better, but the harder I tried, the more I seemed to push it away. It wasn't until I finally accepted that life is unpredictable and that I can't control everything that I began to find peace. That's when the shift happened. I let go of the need to control the future, to plan for everything, to worry about what might happen next. I learned to let life unfold naturally, trusting that things would fall into place when they were meant to. It wasn't easy. I still have moments when I catch myself trying to control things I can't, but I remind myself that control doesn't bring peace. Acceptance does. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means giving yourself permission to be free from the weight of constant worry. Life is going to happen whether we plan for it or not, and the only thing we can control is how we respond. The second lesson I learned was the power of solitude. I'll be honest with you, I used to fear being alone. I thought if I was by myself, it would mean I had lost everything, that I would feel empty and disconnected. But after my losses, I had no choice but to face my own company. At first, it was uncomfortable. The silence seemed too loud and the stillness too heavy. I was used to the hustle and bustle of life, the noise of family and friends around me, and yet there was a peace in it that I hadn't realized before. It took some time, but eventually I began to find comfort in that quiet. I would sit in the garden just watching the flowers sway in the breeze, or read a book with a cup of tea. In solitude, I reconnected with myself. I started listening to my thoughts without distractions, and I began to realize that solitude isn't loneliness, but a chance to reflect, recharge, and find clarity. It was in those moments of quiet that I began to hear the deepest parts of my heart, the parts I had been too busy to hear before. Solitude taught me that we don't need to be surrounded by people or noise to feel whole. We are enough on our own. Being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. It's about finding peace within yourself. I started looking forward to my time alone, enjoying my own thoughts, and discovering parts of me I had forgotten. Solitude gave me the strength to move forward, to heal, and to truly feel at peace with my life, even after the losses. The third lesson I want to share with you is the power of gratitude, especially in the hardest moments of life. When I lost my husband and so many of my loved ones, I felt as though the weight of the world had fallen on my shoulders. I couldn't understand why it was happening, and the pain felt unbearable. But as time passed, I realized that in the midst of my grief, I still had so much to be thankful for. Gratitude wasn't about ignoring the pain, it was about finding the light in the darkness. Every morning I started a small ritual. I'd sit by the window with my cup of tea, and I'd silently list 3 things I was grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun, the beauty of the flowers outside, or the sound of birds singing. At first it felt trivial, but soon it became a habit. Gratitude changed my perspective. Instead of focusing on what I had lost, I began focusing on what I still had. It wasn't just about big moments. It was about finding joy in the smallest of things. What I discovered is that gratitude has a way of expanding your heart. It opens you up to the beauty that still exists, even in the most painful of times. It doesn't erase the hurt, but it lightens the load, and over time I found that by shifting my focus from loss to gratitude, I began to heal. When you're grateful, even in the hardest moments, you make room for peace to enter your heart. The 4th lesson I want to share is something I've carried with me for years, the importance of letting go of regret. For so long I allowed regret to haunt me. There were moments in my life, decisions I made, things I wish I'd done differently. The pain of those choices stayed with me like a shadow. But one day I realized that holding on to regret wasn't doing me any good. It wasn't changing the past. It was only stealing my peace in the present. I used to lie awake at night, replaying my mistakes, wondering what I could have done differently. But over time, I came to understand that regret is a heavy burden, one that can weigh you down for years if you let it. The more I held on to it, the less room I had for joy and growth. And what I finally learned was that you can't change the past, but you can change how you move forward. The power isn't in the past, it's in the future, in the choices you make today. I made a choice to let go of those regrets. I forgave myself for the mistakes I made because forgiveness is the key to freedom. I learned that regret doesn't help you grow. It holds you in place, keeping you stuck in what could have been. Letting go of regret meant embracing who I am now, at this very moment, and choosing to build a life forward from here. And let me tell you, once I did that, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. So, if you're holding on to something from your past, I urge you to let it go. Release the regret, forgive yourself, and make space for the beautiful life waiting for you right now. You are not your mistakes. You are the person you choose to be today. The final lesson I want to share with you today is reconnecting with joy and purpose. After losing so much, it felt like life had taken away all the things that once brought me happiness. For a long time, I wandered through life, feeling like something important was missing. I didn't know where my purpose was anymore or what truly made me happy. But as I reflected on all the years, I realized something powerful. Joy doesn't come from what we have, but from how we choose to live. At first, I thought that without the people I loved or without certain things, I couldn't find joy. But then I began to notice the small things, a cup of tea in the morning, the sound of the wind rustling through the trees, the warmth of sunlight on my face. Joy was still there in the simple, everyday moments. I just had to slow down and appreciate them. Once I did that, I realized something even more important. My purpose wasn't lost. It had simply shifted. I found purpose in helping others, in sharing what I had learned, and in living each day with gratitude. Sometimes we think our purpose has to be something grand, something that everyone notices. But the truth is, purpose is often found in the little things. The kindness you show, the love you give, and the joy you create for yourself and others. Even now, at 94, I find purpose in my daily routine. I find joy in the simple act of being present, of living with intention. And I can tell you this, joy is not a destination, it's a choice. So if you feel lost or like you've lost your joy or purpose, take a moment to reflect. It's still there, waiting for you to embrace it. Find joy in the small moments, and you'll see how it gradually fills your life with meaning again. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start living with intention, and joy will follow. So, if you've lost everything, or if you feel like life has taken more than you can handle, I want you to know that you can find peace again. It's in letting go, finding gratitude, and reconnecting with joy. Life will never be perfect, but peace is always within reach if we allow ourselves to embrace it. Thank you for listening. If this video resonated with you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more stories and lessons from my 94 years of life experience.